Hey guys, Chris here, and I'm a Ukrainian Canadian. Today is December 11th, 2022, and let's get over the news happening in Ukraine, shall we? So, first news I wanted to cover today is that the armed forces of Ukraine destroyed a den of Chechens and Russian military in Melitopol with the HIMARS systems. So, as the publication found out, this happened at the Hunter's Rest, which is a resort in Melitopol, where the Russian military and the soldiers settled down. There were so many killed and wounded occupiers that the ambulance convoys did not have enough time to pick up and take away all of them. And also, this source states that the Hunter's Rest or the Hunter's Stop base, the Russian soldiers there lived in very good conditions. And so it's not just ordinary Kadyrov Russian military that stayed there, but higher command. And as a matter of fact, it has been confirmed that one of the closest Kadyrov's allies, Murad Saidov, was killed in this strike, so confirming that there was a lot of high-ranking commanders at the time. And as well, there were about 200 soldiers that were located that time in that location at the time of the strike. So this is really a massive destructive HIMARS strike if, over 200 soldiers might have perished or been wounded at that point. If we look at the next slide, more detailed look at this resort. As you can see, the living conditions are very good. You can see the cabins, the comfortable beds, you have air conditioning. So this was not reserved for just any regular mobilized Wagnerite soldier. This was definitely high-ranking commanders that could stay here. And you can see that there were many, many cabins and many barracks. So for sure, this could really be an easy 200 soldiers that could have stayed there. So again, this is a really, really great strike by the Ukrainian forces. They probably got a really good intel about this. And again, Melitopol is located right in the middle of this land bridge that the Russians created between Donetsk and Crimea. Very strategic, important town. It has an air base, large city to hold a lot of Russian soldiers, and very central, right? This is literally in the middle of everything. So for the Russians to lose this city would be catastrophic because it would cut off essentially the Russian forces in half and it would destroy this land bridge. But it's not going to be an easy task to take it back. So it's going to take some time, but overall, this strike was really one of the most successful ones by the Ukrainian forces. And as well, the other thing I wanted to indicate is that there have been a lot of reports as well that there have been a lot of fires in Jankoy, in an airbase north of Sevastopol, all around the Crimean Peninsula. There have been some strikes and fires. I did hear reports that there was some partisans, Ukrainian partisans, that took credit for these fires, and it's still to be confirmed what happened exactly. Could be as well some HIMARS strikes, but we still have to confirm what really happened. But still, that's great news as well that the Russians are also being hit in Crimea. So as well, the U.S. has sent another military package for Ukraine worth $275 million. This includes ammunition for the HIMARS systems, 80,000 155 millimeter artillery shells. As well, the US intends to supply Ukraine with anti-drone systems, air defense weapons, Humvees, complete with ambulances and medical equipment, 150 power generators, and marching kits. So overall, the Lend-Lease is going great. A huge thank you for the United States for the help and the people that support Ukraine. This is going to be used again for the front lines. We know that in Bakhmut, the situation is very, very difficult. And so I think that all of this is going to be really necessary for the front lines. And as well, another report on the map is that the Russians tried another offensive. This time, I think they gave up on the idea of taking Vuhledar because they failed so many times at taking it. They're in control of Pavlivka, but overall, it was a very Pyrrhic victory in this situation because they had so many losses. So now they tried another offensive towards Novosilka, around this area, and there was a video where there was about 5 to 6 Russian vehicles that were targeted by the Ukrainian forces. So they had another failed offensive around here. So the Russians are also trying to push like this to kind of cut off the Ukrainian forces from the back. here in Donetsk, but it's not that easy. I think the Ukrainian forces know what's at stake if the Russians manage to have some sort of breakthrough here and encircle the Ukrainian forces from the back like this. This would be not good news for the Ukrainians. But it's so open out here, as you can see. There's not a lot of forest cover. There is a lot of rivers, though, which is, I guess, a terrain difficulty for both the defenders. Well, it plays more into the defenders' field, but very difficult terrain nonetheless. Open, and so the Russians are not having a lot of success right now. But still, we need to look at this area as a potential, as a critical area for the Ukrainian forces to defend, because they cannot allow them to really have a breakthrough and take out this highway, take control of this highway, which feeds into Donetsk and all these settlements that the Ukrainians are currently positioned in. So that's that for the map update. Last thing is that the Russians are not sleeping easy. And so this is in Chornomorsk in Crimea, and that the authorities have given the Russian occupation in Crimea, they gave him a command to build trenches along the beaches of Crimea. And I don't know about you, but if I was a local that lived in Crimea and I woke up to this, going to my favorite beach, and I saw that there were trenches being built, I would not feel comfortable at all, and I'll probably leave Crimea. But as well, what are they thinking where they're digging these trenches? They're less than 1 meter high. They're sand trenches, so they're going to collapse after the first, strike hits it. It just there's no intelligence behind this, And yeah, absolute confidence speaking. If I was a person living in Crimea right now, I would not feel like I should be in Crimea right now. So by the end of the year, expect even more people, pro-Russian Crimeans, leaving Crimea. So that's it. I have a last little video, and again, this is the situation in Bakhmut. This is a 7-year-old boy that currently lives in Bakhmut, and he shows the remains of the apartment where he lived with his family. Just very sad to see. And so he's with a Ukrainian soldier, and he's just giving a tour of the apartment he once lived in. He would wake up, go to school, talk with his family, and now look at all this. He would look out of the window once in a while, talk to his friends, maybe from overlooking that window, enjoyed every day. And now look at what the destruction the Russians brought to him. The sadness, the lost childhood as well. Right, this kid is never going to grow up with a normal life, or at least remember his childhood in a normal way. He'll always remember it with all the terror, the destruction he had to live through for the last year. And at least, he has some Ukrainian soldiers that are helping him, consoling him, but there's nothing to be proud of on the Russian side. This is what they bring. And I'm very furious and angry at the Russians for all of this. The fraternity or the brotherhood that they were talking about in the past is no longer. Forget about the Ukrainians and the Russians being friends again. This is going to take generations before this ever, even the thought of it happening, can happen. Yeah, so that's the video. And again, guys, thank you for your support. Really, I'm really appreciative for it. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. And I'll make another video in the next couple days. So thank you, guys. Take care.